The Nintendo eShop is running their great summer sale right now, and I want to do a couple of videos covering some of the great deals available. Specifically, in this video, I want to highlight 10 awesome JRPG deals that are available right now. So without further ado, I want to get through this relatively quickly, so let's just get right into it. Starting things off, Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition is down to $15. I do believe this is the cheapest the game has been on the eShop. Tales of Vesperia is awesome. I am a big fan of all of the Tales of games. They are one of the most consistent JRPG franchises. You can make the argument that every game isn't amazing, however, they are incredibly consistent and they're always very, very well made. And Tales of Vesperia definitely falls in line. I really dug the characters in this game as well. A very interesting main character, and unlike other JRPGs, it's not your typical zero to hero main character. Yuri just comes across this lackadaisical, no care in the world main character, and he's just a very, very engaging main character all around. The rest of the cast is really good as well. Story is your typical save the world JRPG story. It's a fine story, but for $15 I really enjoyed it, and there's quite a bit of content in it as well. Next up, we have Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch for $20. This came out back in like 2010 on the PlayStation 3. Studio Ghibli JRPG done by Level 5. Great visuals in this one, a very charming JRPG as well. If you want a JRPG to introduce people to the franchise, I really think Ni no Kuni is a solid one, just because the story is pretty endearing and I think a lot of people can find relatability to it. It's one of those JRPGs that also don't go for the typical JRPG trope, so I think there's a lot of fun to be had. $20 is a really good price, and this isn't even that old of a release. I believe it came out last year, yeah, September of 2019, so very good deal on this one. Hopefully at some point they can port Ni no Kuni 2 to the Switch. I don't know if it's possible, but hey, I'll hold out hope. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Complete Edition is the next one. It is down to $30. This includes Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth as well as Hacker's Memory. Now, these games obviously are always going to be compared to Pokemon, but they're quite a bit different. More emphasis on the narrative, and there is a little bit of backtracking across both games. If you're a fan of Digimon, you're going to enjoy this game, and even if you're not, if you like the design of Digimon and monster collecting and things of that nature, I think you'll like Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. Digimon's making a wave. I believe they kickstarted a new anime, but obviously everything going on in the world that was postponed, but I hope Digimon continues to see a resurgence. There's Digimon Survive coming out sometime in the future. The IP just seems to be having a lot of good going on for it, and if you want a pretty well-made traditional JRPG, you'll find it in Cyber Sleuth Complete Edition. $30 for 2 games is pretty good. Next up, Disgaea 5 Complete Edition. That is 50% off for $20. Now, Disgaea 5 and Disgaea in general is one of those JRPG franchises that I don't think is for everyone. It's got a lot of depth to it. It's a little bit grindy, and you can absolutely invest a lot of time into it. However, it should be noted that the visuals aren't something that is going to be catered towards everyone, and there is some wacky humor that might not be up everyone's alley. I had fun with Disgaea. I haven't played all of the games, but Disgaea 5 is one that really stood out to me. And if you want a good Disgaea game, of $20 for it, again, wacky humor, pretty good turn-based strategy RPG content, and if you're a fan of games like Final Fantasy Tactics, you know, Disgaea 5 plays pretty similarly to that, so check that out. Next up, Dragon Quest XI. As Echoes of an Elusive Age is 30% off for $42, so obviously this isn't a deep discount, but DQ11 hasn't seen many discounts on the eShop. I believe this may be the first. $42 for it is pretty good. Dragon Quest XI is a really well-made JRPG. It's a traditional JRPG from Square Enix, but it's traditional in the sense that it's also got the visual and presentation of more of a modern JRPG, so it works both ways, and if you're a fan of JRPGs in general, I think you are going to enjoy this one. Pretty good cast of characters. Story isn't anything completely insane or anything to write home about, but I think overall it's a well-made turn-based JRPG. Relatively good amount of content in here as well, and for $42. Again, a pricey addition to your library, but I do think it's ultimately worth it. Next up, Valkyria Chronicles 1 is down to $9.99. We'll get to VC4 in a second, but Valkyria Chronicles 1 is $9.99. Valkyria Chronicles is just awesome. VC1, I do have to say, is a little bit challenging. Unlike the other game, it doesn't have an easy mode, so the difficulty you have in the game, that is the difficulty you're going to deal with. Maybe you'll want to look up a guide at some point, because some of the missions are pretty difficult. I remember, I think it was the desert mission that really got to me, and I did have to ultimately look up a guide, and now I can do that mission no problem since I know how to do everything. But yeah, the game is challenging at points, but it's also incredibly rewarding. That's the only time I had to look up a guide, so don't hate on me too much. But the game itself is really good. I love the use of a storybook art style. I think it is fantastic. I think the story is great in Valkyria Chronicles, and this is another game really doesn't go towards a lot of the Japanese tropes. It's a war story, and a lot of Western gamers, I think, can really enjoy it as well, and for 10 bucks, it's a great buy, relatively lengthy as well, just like DQ11, but don't expect like an overworld and crazy exploration or anything like that. It primarily told through the storybook, and then you go into specific sequences where you do the rather the strategy battle, and it is turn-based in a sense, so $10 for it is pretty good. Also, Valkyria Chronicles 4 is 50% off for $14.99. I like this even more than VC1. I like the characters a little bit more. I thought they were all varied in their own unique way. I thought the main character was pretty likable, and once again, it takes everything that Valkyria Chronicles 1 did well and just implements it in VC4, adds some new tweaks to it, definitely has some nice bonuses in there as well, and the game itself is just really enjoyable. This one does have an easy mode, so if you find yourself having the game being too difficult, you can turn down the difficulty and you can just play it on easy, and it'll be a lot easier. Easy mode is pretty straightforward, and you should be able to beat it no problem if you play it that way. $15 for it is pretty good. Next up, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is 50% off for $14.99. I think this is a pretty good buy. Obviously, this is a little bit different than the other anime-stylized JRPGs on this list, but technically speaking, it is still a JRPG. Dragon's Dogma is awesome. It makes a pretty good transition to the Switch. It's a very challenging game, but a quality open world RPG that is visually very impressive, and the fact they got it onto the Switch with pretty good performance, that does say something, and Capcom is doing really a good job right now, and Dragon's Dogma is one of those games that has gone a little bit to the wayside. People have been asking for a Dragon's Dogma 2 for a very long time. I don't know if we're ever going to get that, but Dragon's Dogma 1 is pretty good. Next up, we have Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana. It is 50% off for $30. Much like Tales, Ys is a franchise that is incredibly consistent. The gameplay is always good, the stories are usually pretty good, and the music is always stellar. Visually, nothing to really write home about. I believe this game was released on the PlayStation Vita after all, so it's not like, you know, Ys has never been a franchise that has accentuated visuals, but JRPG fans in general don't really go to JRPGs for that. Its presentation style is fine, gameplay is great, music is absolutely stellar. Some of the best JRPG music that you're gonna find, and for 30 bucks, still a little bit pricey, but I would say it's well worth it. This one also pretty lengthy, all things considered. Next up, we have the Grandia HD Collection. It is 30% off for $28. Grandia is one of the more iconic JRPG franchises, and I haven't played it in quite a while, but the fact of the matter is you got a couple of Grandia games here, 2 quintessential RPGs, and now they are on the Nintendo Switch, and with the HD remastered versions, that's definitely great as well. 28 bucks might be seen as a little bit pricey, but if you've been eyeing trying out Grandia, my memories with Grandia are very positive, so definitely do give that a look. And that is it. Those are the 10 games that I would recommend. Links to all of them will be in the description box below. A lot of great deals are available, not only on JRPGs, but it's a genre that really does resonate with me, and I think a lot of our viewers do like enjoy their JRPGs as well. So check these out. If you already own all of them, well, then you're pretty ahead on your JRPG playing, so kudos to you. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.